Hey guys, Weekly Piano here. We're doing our live lesson for the week. If you are watching this on the recording, you can ask questions for next week at patreon.com/weeklypiano. But for now, we're going to answer some questions from people who have submitted for this week. The first one is Rachel Thomas. So we're going to get to that in a second, right after I pull up this feed so I can see what you're saying at this very moment. And there's my live lesson now. Alright, already 7 people watching. What's up, guys? I'm at my parents' house here in Highland Park, Illinois. That's my dad over there, washing some dishes because I'm getting ready for a tour. I came here for a week to visit family before going on this tour. Okay, so the first question that we have is, hey Rachel, you're on. Okay, sorry I'm late. I know I said I was going to do this an hour and a half ago. Good morning, Bebopotamus. That's a really funny screen name. Alright. So 7/4 improvisation. You're working in 3-bar cycles of 7/4 and 1 bar of 8/4. That's interesting. I'm not sure why that's where you're starting. Maybe you can explain that to me. And you have many ways of thinking of this: 3-3-2-3-3, moving the 2 around, but don't want it to sound messy. Maybe it's better to be consistent. Well, Rachel, since you're on now, you can answer this. Are you comfortable already in 7/4? Can you do 7/4 or 7/8 or 7/16 at different speeds? Because I would master that before adding an extra beat in there to make it an inconsistent long form. So it's pretty easy to solo in 7/4 when you do it enough. And there's the classic Meldau example when he does all the things you are. Yeah, shoot. Oh my god, it's too early. So that's all in, well, not too fast. So that's all in 7, but that's actually 7/8. So you're thinking like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. You're subdividing it in different ways, but you should be able to do that in a smooth, easy fashion, so it doesn't even sound like you're really in 7, but that 7 is consistent. The way that you get there is simply by listening to it as much as possible. So find your favorite recording that's in 7/8 or 7/16 or 7/4, and listen to it a lot, like at least once every day for a couple months. And then when you're practicing, the hard thing is to get it sounding smooth. Like you could say, a lot of people when they start to do something in 7, if they're doing all the things you are, for example, they would go like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. it's actually hard for me to do a disjunct now because I've internalized that time signature a lot. But if you count it like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, and you do that consistently, it's going to sound really square. You need to be able to be fluid within the context of that, and then subdivide that in different ways. So one of the ways that the way that Meltdown does it in that recording is. So instead of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, he's going 1, 2, 3, 4, and then on that last 3, he's cutting it in half. So it's 1 again, 2, 1, 2, 3. Sorry, 1, 2, 3. So he's hitting the 1 and then the end of the 2 to make that like so it's almost like 4 short beats and 2 long beats, but each of those 2 long beats equal 1.5 beats, and that's why it sounds more fluid. Now you can do this with a metronome app. You can create these polyrhythms using a metronome app like the I think it's called Pro Metronome is the one that I use. I'm using my phone to record this, so I don't have it on my phone right now. But you can download that, and then you can set it to subdivide, and in a certain way. You can set up the subdivisions, I'm pretty sure. And there's also another app. I think it's called Polynome. I'm pretty sure it's called Polynome. Look that up. And that's one where it has even better subdivision capabilities, and you can assign different sounds to the different subdivisions. And then loop that around and play your favorite standard to that time signature. Now, if you're working on, Rachel, you said you were specifically working on something that is 3 bars of 7/4 and 1 bar of 8/4. It's going to be hard for you to find an example that will help you internalize that by simply listening to it, so you need to program that out and play to it. That's what I do for my polyrhythmic compositions, is I'll make a drum beat in that time signature using Ableton and then play along to that. So here's an example for the song Being on my latest record for Spirit Fingers. It's a 17/16 time signature. So it's like. And you can count it as 17/16 or 17/4. Tuesday Wonderland by EST. Oh, okay. Interesting. Let's see. Let me pull that up. I'm gonna pull up Tuesday Wonderland by EST. All right. Let's listen to this for a sec, even though it's gonna make it so that they have copyright rights over my video.
All right. Let's listen to this for a sec.
Oh wait, because I can't.
Copyright rights over my video.
Okay. 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2. Okay. 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1. Yeah, this is super easy. And he's dividing it in the same way that I was saying Brad Meldau divides. This is one of those things where I would program the drum beat. If you really want to get this down, program the drum beat in Ableton. Programming the beat is going to help you too. Or use Logic or whatever you use. And then play along to that. But play it slowly. Transcribe this, get it very slowly under your fingers. And it's not hard. So he's going into 4/4 here. This isn't 4/4 at this part. And now it's back to the solo. Yeah, once you put
There's a couple things that you can do today if you felt like.
once you put up a drum beat for yourself to solo over, and then just go through it. Oh, I'm playing Jomo, for those of you who don't know, I'm playing EST Tuesday Wonderland. That Rachel Thomas, one of my Patreon subscribers, has suggested, and that she's trying to figure out. That's going to be a really easy one to get because it's also just two chords. It's G and then it's F sharp minor over A. I think he's actually doing the head. He's going back to that, but it sounded like in the solo he's going from G to F sharp minor over A. It's beautiful chords. And there's a lot of cool stuff that you could go into on that harmonically. But yeah, EST, Esmond Spencer was incredible. It's such a shame that he died so early.
Yeah, and in the space
So
where.
yeah, I hope that answers your question, Rachel, as far as the process for going around it. Make a drum beat in Ableton or Logic that covers that. Loop it, do it very, very slowly, and get the chords and the bass line down, and then open it up and solo over it very slowly. And you can use the exercises that I do for other stuff too, like stay within an octave, you know? My melodies, I'm thinking more about the time signature, so my melodies are not that great there, but over time, practicing it like that will be very helpful. And then speed it up from your slower tempo that you do it so you can gradually grasp it and internalize it, and then eventually you'll be able to be very free with it. And you can open it all up. All right, I'm gonna go on to some other questions now. Let's see. Oh, here you go. This is a cool one. Hi, Greg. Can you show us some beautiful widespread voicings or drop 2 voicings for ballads, for instance. I mean, drop 2, I've never been an expert at drop 2 voicings, even though I've done some lessons on them. But they're not, they're pretty simple and straightforward. But for ballads, I do like to do very spread out voicings, but I like to fill them in a lot. So let's just say, you know, one great one to play as a ballad is Stella by Starlight. So, and that caters to some beautiful open voicings. Like, I'll often start it if I'm doing it as a ballad, like. And if I'm being really thoughtful about it, I'll probably experiment a little bit. And that's actually one of my favorite voicings, the stacked fifths voicing. You find that a lot in gospel music. And what I'm trying to do here is, in any of these given chords, you have your bass line, your bass note, you play the bass note, and you have your melody note, and then you have stuff to fill in, right? So the things that you want to fill in are the grounding elements and the upper structure elements. So the grounding elements are things like octaves and fifths, and you want to do those lower. So you have your fifth, and then you can add in an upper structure of a 9 if you want to stack the fifths, because that's always a beautiful sound, is stacked fourths and stacked fifths. And they're different natures to the sounds, but I love stacked fifths. And then to define the key, you want your third in there somewhere. So you could put the third up here, but it's a little close to the melody. So I wouldn't really do that. I would put it down here. And then you have 2 good things about doing that. You have your crunch voicing, which is a half step in the right place, with between the 9 and the minor 3, and it makes it sound quite beautiful. And then you need your 7 in there, because that's another upper structure. And the melody is already the 4th. And yes, if you're doing it the traditional way, I think they do that as a diminished voicing, but I prefer the minor 9 voicing. And then you have your dominant voicing, which I generally think of these as all right, hopefully he doesn't call again, because he thinks that when he calls twice it goes through which way, then he calls and not come through. Because I need Wi-Fi in order to broadcast this. Anyway, so that's your first chord. You can also fill it in if you want to just give it a little more depth there. And then B flat minor major, B flat, you know, I call it minor major in the context of chords because it is melodic minor, but you're not making a melody. So in the left hand, I'm usually doing the 1 and the 5, and then either the 7 or the 9. notice what I'm doing there is I'm trying to find notes when the melody's moving. I like to find notes that are a tenth away to move in harmony with them. And then whenever you have when you go back to the one, if you have a melody note that can hit on some upper structure of the chord that is a half step below the one, it's a cool sound. So A sharp 9 to B flat major. But yeah, those are some of the chords. And if there's a specific song that you'd like me to go over in that context, let me know. And yeah, also there's a whole there's like a bunch of videos that I have that talk about voicings for ballads. I'm pretty sure. Maybe some of the other people on here can tell Nupfa, is that how you say it? Can tell Nupfa what those videos are, because I don't remember ones they are. Here's a cool exercise though for figuring out voicings that sound good in general. So you start with two arbitrary notes. Let's just say a fifth and an octave. So actually let's start with, well yeah, okay, we'll start with a fifth and an octave. So in C and G. And you figure out a voicing that it fits within the context of that. It could be any quality, any voicing. So let's just say major 6/9. So you have your 6 and your 9 in there, your 3, your major 7, your 5. It's a big, beautiful, full voicing. If you wanted, you could put the sharp 11 in there. And then move the bottom note down a half step and the top note up a half step, and then figure out what the voicing is that you can put in there. That's a cool one. Again, major 7, sharp 11. Now move up again. That's another major 7, sharp 11. Now check this out. You keep going up and down with your extremities there. Now this cannot be a major 7, sharp 11 because you have what is essentially your flat 9 on top. So it has to be something that fits with a flat 9. That's a cool one. It's a dominant 7, flat 9. And you can look at it as an upper structure based on the natural 6. So F sharp triad, F sharp, A sharp, and C sharp over the 1 and the 7 of the of A. And now if you love this chord, then okay, you're welcome, Amin. So now if you like this chord, then you want to move it around. So bring it up a half step. Let's say, so now this is in A, let's do it in B. And now up a half step. Let's go down a whole step. And you gradually train your brain to know this voicing in every key as you move it around. That was wrong. See? I already messed it up. That's the voicing. And you can pick any simple melody and maybe make that playing chromatically with this voicing over that melody. So this is something that it's a cool little technique that Ruslan showed me, which is you then do it to Happy Birthday. All right, so if this is your melody note, then you make that into happy birthday. And then you have to figure out where that really falls, so that's going to be D now, and then D flat, and then continue it. Would that be? Nope. That's it. And then finish it for. Is that right? Yep, that's right. Okay, so that took me a long time, but if I do that like 10 times in a row, it'll become a lot easier, and then I'll have that voicing internalized. It's a great way to practice the voicings that you find then when you're doing that exercise. So now let's go back to where we were a second ago, and then you want to go up another half step in the top and down another half step in the bass, and then do it again. And it's all about how it sounds. You're training yourself to A, put together voicings on the fly, and B, listen to what voicings actually sound good. That's you can be abstract with it. And you just so you continue that. Cool. All right. What other questions do we have here? I'm gonna finish this pretty soon, but let's see what else we got. Jordan Lewis, welcome. Your first time viewing this. And Robert Douglas. All right, I'm glad we have a few new people. Shortcuts for making tritone substitutions in my chord progressions. Let's see. What's a shortcut for tritone substitutions? I mean, I wouldn't really call it a shortcut. It's more so practicing it. Because you can do tritone substitutions are just one way of navigating, but you can as long as you're melodically consistent, you can do just about any chord to lead anywhere. So let's take a blues, for example. So that's the tritone substitution for the leading to the 4, right? Of the dominant 1, because it's B, and you can use a whole tone scale, or you can use but you can also come at it from below. So let's just put that in context. it a B sus to the B flat. But now if we want to come at it from another direction, see what I did there? Came at it from the A, which is another direction. But you can also get there by going around the circle of fifths more. So rather than going just B to B flat, you can go from F sharp to B flat. Or you could even go from C sharp to F sharp to B flat. And the more that you pull away, as long as you're going around the circle of fifths, then it will make sense when you go down from that tritone substitution to the next chord. But then you can also do chromatic planing in different ways, as long as it's a pattern that makes sense. You could do, like, let's say minor thirds. Let's do minor thirds. All right. So what are two minor thirds from B flat? So you can go E to G to B flat. That's kind of an interesting and cool one. Because the melody was consistent in that, a solid melodic thread through there. So going. I did E to G to B flat, which is just going up in chromatic planing via minor thirds. And you can do any sort of pattern using that. So tritone substitutions are just like one of the many options you have for how you can actually go between chords. And the further you pull from the traditional harmony, the more you'll realize that you can pull infinitely from traditional harmony, as long as you know where you are in what you're playing, and you know you have your goal point, and you have an understanding of whatever harmony it is that you are playing going up to that point. Okay, so Amin Joma, you're having a hard time finding some really solid and nice funky soul-y tasty changes. Do you have any nice groovy stuff? Well, there are lots of really brilliant, hey Delano, there are lots of really brilliant stuff throughout history, tunes throughout history that have, I mean, if you want cool funky changes, do Actual Proof by Herbie. That's like crazy funky changes. You'll have to listen to the actual recording of that. And I have some transcription stuff, transcribing some of his solo over that, but that's a cool one for funky changes. But really, like, a lot of the funky changes are just super simple. If you look at throughout most of music history, the funky changes that jazz artists did, like Freddie Hubbard and Herbie and people of the 70s and 80s, they were taking people like Sly and the Family Stone and just playing jazz over that sort of vibe, or going toward in the more Afrocentric direction, which I'm sorry, I'm struggling to name what the token artist of that direction would be, but they were looking towards popular culture, and popular culture has always had stupidly simple chord progressions, but the cool thing is they can all sound amazing if you have the right groove and feel behind them, and then if you're melodic playing over those simple changes. So it could be just like 1, 6, 4, 5, maybe with like a cool like tritone substitution going to A5, which is essentially the A flat to the G, but like the song "Lovely Day," which is a pop song. Those changes can be really funky if you play it. Etc. Yeah, Red Baron. It's exactly. So yeah, that's the idea. Anyway, guys, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna let it be there. We've done 37 minutes here, because my computer's about to run out of batteries. If you have more questions, leave them for next week. I'm gonna put up the post where you can ask questions on my Patreon page for next week. I will be on tour, so I may not have a piano, but I'll at the very least have my. You're welcome, Joel and Jordan. Thank you. At the very least, I'll have my phone, and I'll be able to answer some questions, and might have my little mini keyboard, so I can actually do some piano playing. And yeah, go to the Patreon page and leave questions for next week.